Rachel Rose here for Martial Arts Mindset, and I'm joined today by the fantastic Jamie Moore. Jamie, how are you doing
I'm
today?
all right, yeah, you?
Yes, I'm good, thank you. I've been wanting to talk to you for a long time. I've been observing your work for a while and the things that you've been doing, and the camp is just flying. The stable's just flying at the moment. You must be over the moon.
Yeah, gym's a great place to be, to be honest. Full of good fighters, good people, real good mix of characters. And so, yeah, it's enjoyable. It's not really a job, really. I can't call that a job. It's something that I love to do. I enjoy being there.
What do you think it is about your method that has created such a solidity within the fighters themselves, and then the solidity within the unit? Because that's actually something really special, and I think that that's the house that you've built.
Yeah, do you know what? I've thought about this myself. I don't really know. I can't really put my finger on it. Um, Anyone who sort of follows me on social media, they'll probably know that I'm a big advocate of like The Secret, Law of Attraction, and stuff like that. And I just feel like you won't ever understand or know exactly how or why stuff's created, but I've always been a sort of glass half full type of mentality, and it can't be an accident that me and Nige started to do this just by accident, helping Tommy Coyle out with Steve Wood. Never really envisaged that we'd ever be doing it full time or have a stable full of fighters. And then just as time went on, it just sort of grew legs, and people started to come to us and asking us if we'd be willing to work with them or help them out. And it was never really to do it as a job. It was just helping people out. So I think that type of mindset. So probably talking a little bit deep into it here now, but like that
I
sort
like
of
depth. Go as deep as you like.
that energy, what you're sort of giving out, or the frequency, whatever you're on, I feel like that's what's happened over the years. Is certain type of people, certain types of mindsets, maybe see, feel, watch, and they go, do you know what? It looks like the type of place where I'd like to be. And we've ended up with a stable full of fighters, very similar mindsets, different types of characters, but all ultimately, it's like a mixture of all different characters who all get on together, who all bounce off each other, who all help each other progress. Maybe someone who's loud and outspoken and confident helps someone who's a very, very talented fighter, but maybe isn't quite so outspoken, and it helps them sort of get their voice and build momentum. And it's like a big family. Boxing's an individual sport, but literally every day we go in the gym and take the piss out of each other, but at the same time help each other and build each other. And it's I don't know how we've ended up building it. It just seems to have built itself, and it's a great place to be.
It's really magical, and I think I'm not the only person who's observed it. But I'm very much I'm a manifester, and I'm very about energy
Yeah.
and even the first time that I met you after the Fisher Allen press conference, and we were just chatting about boxing and the fact that I'm a coach and everything. And all I kept thinking after that was I want to travel to Manchester and go and train at Jamie's gym.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was just because you were very calm. I don't know if it's because we were just talking about women's boxing and how you've created a space for women to do classes and stuff. I don't know what it was, but I was like, I would absolutely travel to Manchester to do that.
Yeah.
So there is definitely something you're emitting. But I think also what you've managed to do in the pro game in your stable is create the same energy that people have in the amateur game, or even just grassroots when they're, because it can start getting very serious very quickly, right?
Of course it can. And in all honesty, it is serious. And one of my sort of, this is a conscious thing, what I do, is this is the hardest sport in the world. It doesn't have to be hard all the time. It has to be hard when it needs to be hard. And the fighters need to understand that. And they do understand. I'm probably one of the biggest fucking jokers in the gym, in all honesty. But when I get serious, it's like an unannounced moment in time when if I get serious, they know they've got to get serious. We don't have to have a conversation about it. But if I'm fucking about and relaxed, they feel like they can be nice and relaxed and calm. They don't have to be switched on. And then when I go, right, come on, let's go now, they do. So it's not a conversation what we've had. It's just it seems like it was a natural progression. And I've been a professional fighter. I boxed at a decent level. I've won titles myself. I know the stresses, the anxieties, the worries, and being open and honest and talking to fighters and going, are you scared? And they go, no, I'm all right. And I go, listen, I know you are. It's okay. Don't worry about it. That's fine. I feel like when you've got that open, honest conversations with your fighters and they understand when you've been there and done it, they don't feel like they've got to hide it from you, because that in many ways makes it worse. If you just get it off your chest, sometimes it makes you feel so much better. And then when you build that little bit of a trust with your fighter, they're willing to do more. They're willing to go that extra mile. And they know if the shit hits the fan, I ain't going to let them get hurt. They know I've got their best interest at heart. But also that gives them the opportunity to go, right, okay, I don't have to worry I'm going to get hurt. He won't let me get hurt. I can go and give it me all. And if push comes to shove, I'm just going to keep going. And if he needs to, I'll save him. I'll save him for another day. I did it with Dave against Fraser Clark. He was in no position to carry on, even though he would have. But I saved him. Now, at the time, people thought he's pulled him out and he knows it's the end of his career. And in many ways, it might have been. But the way he's applied himself and he's come back and I think having kids has changed his life massively. But him being able to apply himself properly, he's given himself a new lease of life. He's sort of reborn. And if I'd have left him in for them last 4 rounds, I don't think he'd have got stopped by Fraser Clark. But the damage what might have been done in them last 4 rounds would have been the difference, maybe, in him being able to continue his career and get to this point now or not.
All of that is there's so many points there that I could hang on to. But obviously what you've built is a space where the fighters feel like they can be all of themselves without judgment, which means that if they are having a day where they feel scared, angry, feel like they're fucking it up, whatever, you create an energy which is just like, that's okay for you to be all of that. And that definitely builds respect with someone, because there's probably a lot of people who needed to feel like they could make mistakes and they weren't given it in other areas of their life, and someone like you who goes, you're allowed to do that, we just make it better.
Exactly. You know, I had Oliver Harrison, my coach. That gym was a safe haven. Like, you could be having the shittiest day ever and you walk in there for at least 2 hours, you was all right. And that's what my gym's like. I feel like all my guys come in and the atmosphere is great. And for that 2 hours while they're there, they love it. Now, afterwards, many times I'll have fighters ringing me up going, coach, blah, 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 whatever it is, their problems, offloading their problems. I've no problem with that whatsoever, because I feel like if I'm going to be coaching fighters at this level, it's not necessarily about the boxing. It's about managing those fighters and making sure you're going to get the best out of them. And if that means that I've got to be a bit of an agony aunt and a shoulder to cry on and not offset a bit of steam, or, you know, release them worries, what they're worrying about, and I've got to be on the phone for 10 minutes, 2 or 3 times a day, then in the long run, that's going to make my job easier, and it's going to make me be able to do my job better as a coach because of the reasons what I said before. So I don't feel like this is just me teaching someone when to throw a right hand. It's about managing them as people, and when you do that, you then get better success stories further down the line from a boxing point of view, because you've managed the area before it. I think maybe that's what it is. It's not just about the boxing side of it. It's more so about not the boxing side of it in many ways.
Yeah, totally. And I actually think that, you know, as we know, unfortunately, it's well documented that we are of a difficult era for men at the moment, especially young men. They are lacking in male role models to guide them into what a healthy masculine energy is, how to navigate their emotions. This is why I think boxing should be in schools. I think people should learn it, men and girls and boys, and however they identify, they should start young, because I think they teach a discipline and they learn respect, they learn hierarchy, women learn how to protect themselves, the whole thing. But I think what you're describing is you have, without even realizing, become a great role model for these men. Like, they feel safe in your gym, they feel safe to be themselves. Then whoever comes through, they know they can lean on you. Actually, the way that you're delivering everything you're saying to me, I think, oh my God, if we could have more of you replicated in the world, showing young men that they could be all of this and still be masculine and strong. We would have a healthier array of young men. It creates such
a better next generation. And that's, in all honesty, like, I've opened an amateur boxing club in my area for that reason, because I know the impact it had on my life Dave Langon was my amateur coach, and that progression from being like a 13-year-old kid who was getting in trouble, who was that your generic sort of boxing story, council estate kid going down the wrong path, and the structure it gave me. Even though I had a good upbringing in terms of my mum and dad was there, I had stability, I was loved, but outside influences are always part and parcel of growing up. And the boxing gym, the love of boxing, what I had, gave me structure, discipline. I wanted to give that to any kid in my area where I've grown up, the opportunity to do what I've done, because I know the impact it had on my life, and ultimately I can't do it for them. They've just got to be willing to walk through the doors and put themselves in that position, and then the rest will speak for itself. Like, I can only do that in my area. I can't do that everywhere, but I got the idea of it because Nige, of the impact his gym had had in Moss Side, and I said, you know what, I've got to do that where we are in Warton, and we did it. And if everyone did that across the whole country, then it'd be a better place. And unfortunately, people don't. But I've had this conversation. I went in the gym last week and I had a talk with all the kids in my gym, because there was a few instances what had happened over a month's period where there'd been the way the kids had been behaving, reacting and stuff, I wasn't happy with. I was like, listen, so I got them all and I sat them down and I said, this isn't a telling off, but you need to understand why I've opened this gym is to give you all an opportunity to make your life better. I've not done it so that you can all have a bit of a chip on your shoulder or an ego, or you can film stuff on social media. Like, I expect you to act in a certain way because you represent this club and you've got Warden ABC on your back, and you're not going to act like that. I promise you, if you do, you're not going to come through the door. I want yous all to be better for it, not worse. And so it wasn't a telling off. It was a conversation with them all, so they understand what I expect of them. Now, it's very difficult to get that in schools because the vast majority of kids don't want to be at school. So you say to a kid, listen, you act like that, you're not going to come to school. They're going to go, brilliant, yeah. Absolutely brilliant. You do it in a boxing gym where they've been coming for a while and they've got like a family community and they love being there, and you say, listen, act in that way like you was last week and you ain't going to come in here again, and they go, fucking hell.
Yeah, I'll behave.
And I know that because I did it.
Yeah.
I got caught, I'm not proud of it, but I got caught nicking cars, stealing cars when I was 14 years old, and my mum took me to the gym and said to me, coach, he's been stealing cars. And he said to me, I tell you now, you ever do that ever again and you won't step foot in this gym. And I shit myself because I wanted to be there. So all those things what I've just spoke about, like that conversation with them kids, I'm hoping in the long run, like I said to him, I don't care whether you end up boxers, any of yous. I promise you, I don't care. If you do, I'll be over the moon for you. But I don't care. What I care about is this place making you all better people in the long run. That's what I'm here for. That's the whole reason why me and Charlotte opened this gym and invested money into it, was to give you all the opportunities. So don't mess it up.
Yeah, and I think when someone, a kid, a teen, an adult has experienced the freedom of being in a boxing gym, for me it's a mental freedom, and it came to me. And I have a theory that boxing finds you, and then when it finds you, it never leaves you. It's just forever. And for me, it is forever. And if good day, bad day, I can go to the gym, and for those 2 hours, I escape everything that's going on in my life. And I'd say 99.9% of the time, I'll feel better, or I won't be worse.
Course,
exactly. I'll just breathe a little easier by
Boxing's
the end of the day.
Therapy, without a shadow of a doubt, at all different levels.
Yeah.
Boxing is therapy for everyone.
So when I get the threat of that, if someone said to me, like, you can't box.
Yeah.
Well, actually they did, because of my heart condition. They said to me at 18, you'll never box. And I just discovered it. And I was like, well, this is odd. But I never let that be a narrative. And I've fought in 2022, first ever and only ever bout. But for me, that was like the best day of my life, because I was like, I ticked a box of something I always wanted to do. But I will never stop training, because it's just, and that's why I love being here. I love having these conversations, because it reinforces, I learn from the conversation I'm having with you, and it reminds me why I became a coach as well, and what the messages I want to reinforce into people. And what's amazing to see is that what you're doing is so important and magnetic. That is why you're building something that's bigger than.
Listen, it has to be. So that conversation I had with all the kids, I had no reason to set that gym up invest money into it. The only reason was to make my community better. You can't go and have a conversation like that with kids if you've got a financial incentive.
Yeah, of course.
Because they see right through it.
They smell it.
They
It's
see
energy,
right through it,
yeah.
and they go, listen, you're only saying that because you want me here because you're earning money off
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
We charge the kids £1
Yeah.
to come and train because it's not about that. It's about getting them off the street and making them better people. So I can afford to go there and tell them off because I've not got any other reason that we've opened that gym only for good reasons. Like,
You want them to do well.
I just want them to do well, exactly. And in all honesty, it's selfish in many ways because the amount I get back from seeing them succeed and do well is like the best feeling in the world. So it's like people go, oh, I can't believe you've done this for nothing. It's not really for nothing. It's because I knew that I'd get a lot from it because seeing them succeed would make me feel so much better. So it's very selfish in many ways. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to lie and say, oh, you know, sit on this high horse. Like, I get such a buzz to see all these kids doing well for themselves. So it's win-win. Who's not winning that in that situation?
So
Do you know what I mean?
It's amazing, Jamie. I'm not going to take up much more of the time. I could talk to you forever, but good luck this weekend.
Thank you very much.
Actually, one question before you go: how do you navigate when you've got that many fighters on the
it's
card?
not easy. It's not easy.
Do you and Nige like tag team?
Well,
or do you have to run in and run out?
We do. We go in and go out. If we might have 2 fights on the bounce on Saturday.
Yeah.
If that's the case, then I think what it's going to be, from what I'm hearing, is going to be Pat Brown and then Akib Fiaz straight after.
Yeah.
If that's the case, then I think me and Dave Allen will do Pat on our own.
Yep.
Leave Nige with Akib,
Yep.
warming him up in the change rooms, and then they'll just come out and meet me in the ring. So it's not easy to navigate, but you know,
you make it work.
It's a good problem to have.
Yeah, definitely, Jamie. It's been wonderful to talk to you. Thank you so much for your time and good luck.
No worries.